Hello. I want to read this article here from Wellness Mama because it is very important. So I want people to go to this website. Okay? Is there lead in bentonite clay? From Wellness Mama. She's very good. Very good researching all of this. If you've used bentonite clay in any of these ways, you might have noticed the new warning label. Okay, so the pharma industry, I want to throw this in. The pharma industry has hitchhiked with Proposition 65 in this way, and they make people put warning label of lead on it. But bear with me here with this article, very important. I've received many questions and comments from readers asking if there is indeed lead in bentonite clay. If so, if it is safe to use. Certainly this is an important question since lead is a very harmful substance in the body and our family uses bentonite clay regularly. After much research, my short answer is yes, there is lead in bentonite clay, but I still feel completely safe using it on myself and on my family. As with any health topic, it is important for you to do your own research on this, but these are the reasons I feel comfortable using it. To understand why I am unconcerned about the lead content in bentonite clay, it is important to understand why there is lead in bentonite in the first place and the amount present. Bentonite clay, also known as montmorillonite clay, is a naturally occurring element that is composed of hardened ash from volcanoes. Much of this clay is harvested from large volcanic deposits in Fort Benton, Wyoming, but it is also harvested from the Montmorillon region in France and several smaller deposits worldwide. Since bentonite clay is harvested from the earth and is a natural substance, it contains trace amounts of various elements, including trace amounts of lead. So how much lead does it contain? In my opinion, not enough to worry about. Here's why. Lead naturally occurs in the Earth's crust and is also present in many things we interact with on a daily basis. Historically, it has been used in cosmetics, paints, and other substances. Foods that grow from the earth, fruits, vegetables, nuts, contain trace amounts of lead. Foods from animals that eat these plants also contain trace amounts of lead. In fact, many unprocessed foods can contain up to 0.4 ppm parts per million of lead or more. For instance, a 2007 study from the FDA found these levels of lead in typical servings of common foods. Fresh collard greens, 30 micrograms of lead, 50 times higher than Proposition 65 stipulates. Dry roasted mixed nuts, Brussels sprouts, sweet potatoes, spinach. Okay, so the clay has much less than that. The amount of lead present in the commonly used amount of bentonite clay is less than half of the lead found in spinach. Soil is an even bigger source of lead. Uncontaminated soil contains 50 to 400 ppm of lead. To put that into perspective, bentonite clay contains 11 to 12 ppm. So that's like 0.001% of that only. So the soil in your yard likely contains at least 4 times the amount of naturally occurring lead than bentonite clay, but even the trace amounts present in clay would be a concern, except the lead is not bioavailable to the body. And she explains why. This is the often overlooked part of the lead equation. The lead is a naturally present in many foods and clays. It's not available to the body. Lead is dangerous even in tiny amounts when it is able to build up in the body. This does not occur with the trace amounts of lead in clays, like bentonite, for one very important reason. Lead likes to bond to other elements like silver, copper, and zinc. To understand why this is important, think about high school chemistry. Compounds that would be dangerous on their own are not in certain combinations. Sodium, a reactive caustic metal, and chloride, an explosive acid, are harmful on their own in elemental form, but together they form harmless and important NaCl or salt. A similar comparison is true with lead. Lead in an unbonded form, like the isolated form found in some metals, cosmetics, or old paint, is dangerous and is important to avoid because it can bond and remain in the body. Lead that has already bonded is not likely to remain in the body. So it just gets flushed out. And it doesn't attach itself to any cells or something. Lead from natural sources like dirt and clay remain bonded when they enter the body, just as the bond between sodium and chloride is very difficult to break. The bond between lead and another element is not easily broken and does not happen through the normal process of digestion. It requires very high amount of specific acids to break these molecules apart, and that does not happen in your system, in your body, or in nature in general, So it's only under very specific circumstances, which scientists working for the corporations did, so that they could present that to the public, knowing the public isn't going to do any research on this. So, and scaring the public, saying that this breaks down in acid, but they didn't tell you that, this kind of acid is not happening in nature or in your bodies. Okay, that's only happening in very specific laboratories and with their specific tests that they're doing. So this has to be outlined. It's very, very important. This is how the medical industry and the pharmaceutical industry function. They know people don't know about these things. They know most people don't know about this, how chemistry works. So they will hijack something. They hijack our laws. They hijack certain information, certain tests they do, and then they present it to the public as, see, I told you so, or something, or I see it is dangerous, but here are the numbers. These are the actual numbers, and this is the actual fact that the lead in many natural substances, particularly in clays and in bentonite clay, they are bound. They don't become free floating or radical. They don't radiate out into your body. They are completely safely bound, and they create a very big molecule, and this big molecule is only beneficial, and it grabs onto it, adheres, and it adsorbs and it absorbs all the toxins and all the bad stuff from our bodies. Okay, this is a fact. Okay, and I think it is so important to clear up these misunderstandings. So here, for example, this is why there are exemptions in Prop 65 for natural foods like Brussels sprouts, collard green, and nuts, which naturally contain moderately high levels of lead and would have to show many times the safe level of lead on their labels. Foods like carrots and yams contain over 20 times the legal limit of arsenic, for example, but they aren't dangerous because the arsenic is similarly bonded. It is bonded also in these plants. So, but they don't, they don't make a scare tactic about that, right? So their specific aim, what? The pharmaceutical specific aim and target is to slander and target the clays so that they can scare people away from clays, because they don't want people healing themselves with clays, because when people heal themselves they don't go to the doctor anymore, and then they can't get their kickbacks from prescribing medication. It's very simple and very straightforward, actually, what's happening. And then people will say, really? I don't think people are that corrupt. That people aren't that bad. That can't be. Yes, they are. Okay? Yes, they are. You better believe it. Huh? That's why I always say, don't trust authorities, Go with the wellness people. Go with Wellness Mama and Dr. Gary Knoll and Dr. Richard Schultz and those amazing people. And Dr. Michael Grieger, okay, Dr. Andrew Jones, go with those people, John Kohler, go with people who have something to say, Raw Food Christina. These people have something to say. Freely the Banana Lady, they have something to say to us. They want to make the world a better place. Those are angel souls, all of these people, okay? Bentonite clay contains less lead than many common foods like vegetables and nuts, and much less than uncontaminated soil. Even this tiny amount of lead is already bonded to another element and not likely to release or store in the body. Okay. So it is also important to weigh the benefits of bentonite clay when determining if it is safe to use. I've written in depth about the scientifically backed benefits of bentonite clay, but to summarize, bentonite carries a strong negative charge, which allows it to bond to chemicals and heavy metals within the body and remove them. This process also releases beneficial minerals into the body. It's very important that people know that bentonite clay, also zeolites are they're even more powerful. They're even more powerful bonding agents. Okay, those are neutralizers. They neutralize the toxins in our systems. Okay, they pull them out. They flush them out. Very important to know. I feel very, very compelled to make videos about this and highlight this, what people write, and the science behind it, the real science, and to rule out all these misunderstandings that are put out there by the pharmaceutical industry. They even bond to viruses, okay? Even rotavirus, it's a very dangerous virus. It flushes out and neutralizes the bacteria in the mouth, which can become very dangerous. Sometimes people develop E. coli in their mouth. Very important to drink a lot of water all the time. Pulls out infection, chemicals, bacteria, heavy metals, all of it out of the skin and out of the entire system. So very important. I want people to read this. Okay, you guys take care. Bye bye.